Hello, Miss Steele here. So we are talking about pop art this week, and we are going to make our own pop art words. Pop art really took a lot of influence from comic books and popular culture and focuses on simple color use. So let's go through what we'll need to make our own pop art words. You want a white piece of paper. This is what we're going to write our word on and cut out of. We're going to use it for our highlight as well. And then you want either your secondary colors being orange, green, and purple. I'm going to do secondary, or your primary colors. So yellow, red, and blue. So you want one of each of those. If you have it, I would recommend some newspaper, or this is from an old phone book, some printed sort of paper to add some more detail. You want some markers, a pencil and eraser, and some scissors and glue. I have this paper, which goes through different onomatopoeias that we will be using in this project. An onomatopoeia is a word that looks the same way it sounds. So words like splat, crash, vroom, you can think of the word woof, thud, rumble. So what you want to do first is you want to pick out which word you want to use. I've used smash already, so I'm going to look through and figure out which one I would like to use. Once I pick out which word I want, I am going to draw it like how I normally would on this paper. So we want to make it into bubble or block lettering, but I'm going to show you an easy way we can do that. So I think I'm going to make my word boom. So I'm going to go as big as I can on my paper and fit in B-O-O-M. Now, to make words into block or bubble letters, what I do is I draw around them. So if I wanted to make this one into block lettering, I would draw around my normal B, and anytime I hit an edge, I would make for sure to go super straight, and then I could go back and erase this here on the inside like that. But if I wanted to make it bubble letters, I would make it round. Instead of straight at those edges, I would round it out. So you can decide whether you want to do block or bubble letters for your word. So there's that and that. So I am going to make these into bubble letters. So I am going to go around those letters I've already written to make my boom. And now I want to color this in. And I can color it in using any of the secondary colors, because that's the color palette I'm using. So I could color it in orange or green or purple. I think I'm going to color this in orange. So I would grab out my orange marker, and I'm going to want my black marker for an outline. But I would start filling this in with orange. If you chose to do not the secondary colors, but the primary colors, you would be using red or blue or yellow. So I'm going to get this all colored in, and then we're going to grab our black marker to add an outline to all of this. So I'm going to go through and get these colored in, and then we'll move on to our next step. Alright, so once you have it colored in like normal, you are going to use your black marker to add an outline to make it look a lot more like graphic, like comic book style. Really bright, really bold. Those things that we see with a lot of our pop art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline these and then I'm going to cut them out. So I'm going to get these outlined and then cut out, and then I will show you what our next step will be. You want to save the white paper whenever you, like the paper that's around your letters or your word, because we are going to use it for something a little special. So I'm going to get these outlined and cut out, and then I'm going to save some of this white scrap paper because we need it for our next step. Alright, so I have my letters cut out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this leftover white piece of paper I have, and I'm going to cut some little strips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for a highlight to make this look more pop arty, more graphic, like a comic book. And up in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to glue these down, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry, because we are going to move on to our next step. So now that I have all of these on here for my little highlights, I'm going to set my letters aside to let them dry. And I am going to grab my colored paper now. My colored paper being either my primary or secondary colored paper that I have. So I have my secondary colors, so orange and purple and green. What I'm going to decide is what shape I want to make for around my wording. So there's a few different ones you could do. You could do one that's really spiky. You could do one that's rounded. You could do one that is rounded but going along the inside. You could do one that looks like a big splatter. And what you want to do is pick one that's going to be your background. I'm going to make my background orange, so I'm going to set it aside. And then using my purple paper, I am going to draw out that shape I want for my halo or color that goes around my comic book word or my automatopoeia. So you can see I drew out my shape, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it out, and then I am going to actually trace it onto my green so then I can create the shape again, except a little bit smaller. So once I have it cut out, like this, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in the middle of my green paper, and I'm going to try my best to just gently trace around this shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm not going to cut it out exactly like this. I just want to get the general shape of my purple paper. Like that. So once I have it drawn out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in a little bit and trace around that shape, kind of going on the inside a little bit more, so we can still see some of the purple. So I'm not going to cut out what I traced exactly for my purple. I'm going to follow along that tracing I did on the inside, because we want our green to be a little bit smaller than our purple. And once I have this cut out, I'm going to grab my last piece, which would be my printed out either newspaper. This is phone book. So I grab one that I like. I think I like this one. And then I take my green and I trace it onto here the best I can. And then I follow that same step I did previously of going around my shape the best I can, and then drawing it a little bit smaller on the inside so we can see that green paper, because if they were the exact same size, it would cover that green paper, and we do not want that. And then I follow that same step of cutting it out. So I'm going to get this cut out, and then we will put it all together. Alright, to add some spice to these, make them look a little more graphic, what I'm going to do is add a line design onto one, and then I'm going to add polka dots onto the other. So for this one, I'm just going around and I'm using my black marker, and I'm kind of following that shape like I did previously whenever I was cutting these all out, and going around it, but going in just a little bit each time I'm tracing around it. Like that. And then for this one, I'm going to use my black marker, and I'm going to go all around and add in some polka dots, because polka dots are a really simple and clean pattern that is really popular in pop art. It very much calls back to comic books and kind of graphic novels being comic books that are a little bit longer and more of a book style. Like that. Now I'm going to take my background paper, and then I'm going to position this on here in a way that I like. I think I like it like kind of turned almost a little bit. And then I'm going to use my glue, kind of focus it more on the middle, just because I know this is going to be hanging off. So I'll go back and re-glue those in a second. Maybe like this instead. Yeah. And then I can go back, and in those sections that still need some glue, I can add it on there like this. So it's always better to go smaller so you don't have like a gluey mess hanging out. Now I'm going to grab my green, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go around, and then I'm going to position it, maybe it's this way, on top of here, like that. And then I'm going to grab my last piece that I have and put it on here. And then all I need to do is add my letters on. So I have some glue onto here. I have some glue on here, but that will dry. That. And then I can decide how I want to put this on. Maybe I want it to be a little bit crooked. Maybe I just want it to be straight. I kind of like moving them around a little bit. B-O-O-N. So I'm going to go in with my B first. B. And if you have some extra space, you could always add in an exclamation point if you want. I'll leave that up to you. Oh. Maybe I want this to be tilted a little bit more. And just like that, once I get down this M, we will be finished. So there is our pop art words. Here is the one I had at the start. Quite a bit larger. This one's a little bit smaller that I just made with you. I can't wait to see how yours come out, and I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Bye!